What's up, everyone, and welcome in to your Celtics source. Happy Tuesday evening here, as we are just under 1 week away from the start of training camp. Monday, players will meet for media day. A couple players are arriving this week. Some, specifically Jayson Tatum, have been here all summer rehabbing from that Achilles injury that he tore back in May against the New York Knicks in Game 4. And that's who I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to keep this video short as we are going to be doing lots of streams throughout the next week and, of course, continuing on as the season begins. Specifically, we have a live stream on Thursday night, I believe it is, doing a deep dive into every player, which we are going to talk about Jayson Tatum, of course. He's not going to be the main subject of that show, but we are going to talk about him, going over some of the stuff that we talked about here. But we're going to be diving into guys like not Chris Stepps, Neemias Queta, wish it was Chris Stepps, Queta, Pritchard, White, all have to have big seasons. We'll be going over that. We'll also be going over some of the G League guys and the rookies, and Hugo Gonzalez and Amari Williams that they drafted this year. But I wanted to take a time to talk about Jayson Tatum and what he went on national media today and talked with ESPN via First Take, NBA Today. He was also on CBS, I believe, and a couple other podcasts throughout the day. He really, was just going around the national media world, sharing his stories on both recovery, the team, and also, of course, sharing his new shoes, the Tatum 4s, which look pretty sweet, to be honest, especially that red color. And, of course, the new partnership he has with the medical clinic. But I wanted to talk about what he said about his recovery and his team. He started off with talking about just Joe Mazzulla, right? And how, he had a great connection with Joe Mazzulla, right? Jayson Tatum loved Ime Udoka, who came before Joe Mazzulla. But I think he has now grown into loving Joe Mazzulla as well, right? The Celtics have thrived, obviously, since he's been here, right? 57 wins, 60 win totals, two of them, right? 64 wins and an NBA title. And, of course, all of that came before these injuries and, the cap sort of slowed everything down, right? And then, obviously, Jayson Tatum, he ruptures his Achilles. Apparently today is exactly 19 weeks since that surgery. Not when he tore it, but the surgery. He got it on a Tuesday because game was Monday, I believe, or maybe the game was Sunday and he got it Tuesday. But either way, it's been 19 weeks. It's hard to believe it's been that long. But he is moving along at a progressive pace, right? It's been challenging, he said, but it's been really, he's been really confident in his recovery, which is, something that takes a while, right? And he talked about that, the mental battle of how, the hardest part is accepting the injury, knowing that you can't even envision playing basketball, let alone, walking upstairs or walking in general, actually. And you slowly have to work your way up to playing basketball, which it seems like he is just about getting there, which is, a huge sign. The fact that he's now walking around today, in fact, or this past week, he's been doing little stints of basketball work. I believe it was yesterday was his first day on the court. So he did a 20-minute little drill, right? Not a lot of like running and all that stuff, but, shooting and all that stuff, which is huge, right? Because, trusting that foot, it's going to take a while, but if you can have your shot down and all of that and don't have to worry about that, you can put all your effort into your recovery of your running and your walking and just that mental battle, which is huge, right? And he's been leaning on not just the Celtics stalkers, but some outside sources. He's using this non-opioid sort of prescription during the early recovery here. Some other things, right? He's partnering now with that. I forget the name of the company. But the point is, he's partnering with them to, basically prescribe this pain medicine. It's not like a healing or anything, but it's a non-opioid pain medicine, which can be huge for players, right? Of course, a lot of the theme around the national media talking to him was not just on his injury itself, but was on the perception of him, the credit, right? Acknowledging that he feels maybe unappreciated. For some reason, the media always wants to bring that up whenever they talk about Jayson Tatum. I don't know why it is, but they always, that's like one of the first couple of questions they bring up when they talk to him. But whatever. He talked about how his family, Deuce, was a huge part. Deuce, now that he's at the age where he can sit down and watch highlights on like an iPad of him, right? That was huge on sitting down with his son and watching highlights of him, right? It motivated him, right? And now that I'm gonna keep this nice and short here, as they're going to do full videos on him as we get into the season and whatever. But the Celtics outlook here without him now, right? He's gonna be around the team. We know that. But he's not gonna be around until if he even plays, which it's looking like now. Right? He definitely hasn't ruled it out, and he said, I think he wants to play, of course, and he said specifically he's going to make it a home game when he returns, which is huge, in front of the home crowd, whatever. I expect it won't be until February, where I don't think it's going to be earlier, even with all this going on. I think they're going to hold him out. Even though he's progressing well, I think they hold him out anyway. But, I think it's huge that he wants to be there for the team. He's going to be around, I think, for most games. We'll see. But, Halliburton's out. Lillard's out for a while. Obviously, Lillard's not, with, the East anymore, right? He's over with Portland. But, the Knicks are going to be a good team. The Magic will be a good team. Pistons, who am I thinking of? The Cavs. But I think the Celtics can still be in a 6th spot at the highest, I'm saying. And, can Jayson Tatum come back in time to spark a little bit of a run before I think they got to acquire and rebuild this team the following year. But, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. Jayson Tatum, one last thing, Jayson Tatum did admit that, as we all know, right, he was a Lakers fan growing up, and he was sort of disappointed that the Lakers and the 76ers might have passed on him at the beginning of his career, but obviously he's now grateful to be in Boston, won a championship, back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, obviously 2 NBA Finals and there, a championship, a Eastern Conference MVP, all of that. But, I'll wrap it up here. Jayson Tatum announced, as I just said, his Tatum 4s. And, until next time, go Celtics.